We're talking?
Probably.
Okay. I'm going to go on mute then. I'm in the backstage right now. If anybody can hear me, can you put a comment in there saying you can hear me? I legit have no idea if you can.
Maybe they can. When does the curtain open? Okay, 2 minutes.
I don't know. I like comedy shows that do that where they kind of have the curtain closed but they're talking and they're fumbling and stuff.
We should do it where we like a comedy. Yeah, like the comedy shows where they're walking through the street and they just have a full. Yeah, they can hear us. Look at that. Fully prepared video for the intro of the comedian into the stage. I'll get one of those.
How do we get rid of the video?
Let's see. There.
Haha.
Hello.
Happy Friday.
Ooh,
Is it Friday,
happy
right?
Friday.
It is
Yeah,
Friday.
I've been thinking
Yes.
it's Friday since Wednesday. It's been a long week, but it truly is Friday today because we're doing the live stream.
That's right. I think I told Isabella, my daughter, yesterday, no less than 12 times that it was Thursday. She kept kept asking if she had school tomorrow. I don't know if she had like a quiz or something today. I don't I don't know.
Maybe we all just had a long week. 'Cause a lot of people I've talked to this week have had the same situation where they thought yesterday was Friday.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, me. Uh, okay. I am excited for this one. And now, if you've seen the social promos that have come out in the past few days that said that we were going to be testing OpenSearch serverless, we're not. Andres sent to me in, I don't know, it was a DM somewhere. We should try Elasticsearch serverless, and I, I thought, oh, it's Andres. He messes up all the time, and he's English as a second language, so he probably meant OpenSearch. And so I created all the stuff, all my automations picked up, created all the social promos that said OpenSearch, and then after all that ran, Andres sends me a text message. He's like, "No, man, I meant Elastic serverless." I was like, "Oh well, it's too late for the automations and the social media posts, but I can at least update the title of our session. So I honestly didn't even know that Elasticsearch had a serverless offering. I guess it's pretty new.
Yeah, like a couple of months. Actually, once I was doing the first version of the newsletter for you, I was looking at all the sources and I saw Elastic Serverless, and that's how I learned they had this in technical preview. So I thought interesting, we should try it out. So it's been on the list for a while for things for us to try. I'm excited to finally try it out. See,
Yeah, me too. I remember you and I were sitting next to each other at the reInvent keynote 3 years ago, and Werner, I think, was giving the keynote, and he was leading into the announcement for OpenSearch serverless. And you and I, we were working on the same team at the time, and heavy users of OpenSearch, in fact. And we were like,
yeah,
"Oh, this is it. This is where they're going to announce serverless version of it. This is where we're gonna. This is it. This is the time." And
yeah.
he goes and uh, announces OpenSearch serverless, and goes over the details and starts. We both start to get deflated a little bit, and then I just start getting a barrage of text messages from our team who's back at home who did all the research. They were watching the keynote live, and they're like, "Yeah, it's not serverless." It was
Yeah, I remember
a little
that
disheartening.
keynote when there was that slide where it's like compute and then serverless check and then database serverless check with Dynamo. And then they get to like the search. It's like we don't have that yet. And then boom. But yeah, it wasn't truly what we expected. Still a step up from what we do day to day with OpenSearch.
Mhm.
But not exactly what we were
Not what
expecting.
we wanted. Yes.
Exactly.
It's what we expected, not what we wanted. Uh, but such is life. So let's go ahead. Go ahead. What are you about to say?
No, but now we're gonna try out the another flavor of it, right? But it's from Elastic itself, right? The serverless offering they have in preview. So we'll see how that pans out. We're trying to time box this 60 minutes for us to get set up and be able to execute some search queries on Elastic Serverless. So I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. So for anybody that's watching that hasn't watched Andres and I uh, do this kind of thing before, when we're benchmarking or gauging serverless services, let me put quotes because we don't know yet. Uh, we do a couple of things. One, we assess based on Momento's serverless litmus test. Uh, is this truly a serverless service? There's a few things in there that we look for, and we'll go over that here in a minute. And then the second thing that we do is we intentionally don't read the docs to see how intuitive the service is. We try to actually use it and see can you get up and running with this and build something meaningful, POC-ish, without having to read the docs, which is to me a really good indicator of developer experience if it's intuitive enough to actually use and build something if you don't have to take a look at the docs. So we had a question on LinkedIn after the end of the session. Can we get recorded? Yes. Yes. All of our live streams, not just the coding ones, but all the sessions that we do during the week are all on the Believe in Serverless YouTube page. So you can see all of our handles down there in the bottom left of the screen, youtube.com/believe in SLS, and you'll be able to find this video there.
And I'll add a
So,
direct link to it in the chat as well, just for everybody. How do I do this? Oh, I can't post to LinkedIn from here. Well, uh,
okay, but the YouTube is where you'll find that. It's there now. It'll be available immediately on demand as
Yep.
well as soon as this session is over. So, Andres, you and I have split the controls in half today. I have Visual Studio Code on my machine, and you have Chrome,
Yeah.
Firefox, probably Internet Explorer. I know how you love Microsoft. Uh, and you have a browser up on your machine. So we'll start with you. We'll bring up your screen and talk a little bit about Elastic serverless, and then we will provision what needs to be provisioned and start coding. And once we start coding, I'll start a little timer over in the bottom left screen. We'll see if we can actually do a search, a functional search within an hour.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lovely.
Let's bring you up. Can you zoom in one click on this?
One more. That better?
Cool. Yeah.
Okay. So technical preview. Obviously, don't use this in production yet, unless you can take the hits of things changing. But features could be removed or anything. So just a big banner there for us to, or for anybody that's looking to consume this, be careful. So yeah, just read it. This is, again, kind of the first time I've opened the documentation, because that's kind of what I like to do, is come in here blindly and see what it does, right? But it's their offering without you having to manage the clusters, nodes, data tiers, scaling, right? If you've ever spun up any of these services yourself, you have to deal with most of this, right? And figuring out your own scale and how many nodes and what size instances you want to run for your cluster and all that fun stuff. So it seems, based on the words here, that they take care of all that. It provides 3 serverless solutions. So it's not just search, right? Obviously, their base search is where you can index data and search it, right? So pretty straightforward. They have different
That's
ways
what
of
we're going to be
mapping.
using today, right? That's what
Yes.
we're going to be messing with.
Yeah. Then the other use case they offer is the observability, right? Pump in all your logs, your metrics, and all that, and they help you visualize and search around those. And security, similar but more directed around security to find any threats or endpoint protections. I've never seen or used any of the security portion of it, but it's interesting that they have it there. That you create in Elastic Clouds. They're called serverless projects. Elastic serverless products are currently in preview. Yes. Okay. So should we
All right.
start
I
with
like the promise. Yeah.
Yeah, it says all the
Let's
right
go to
words.
pricing before we do. Yes, it does. Yes, it's easy to say the right words in the marketing language. Let's go before we actually go and make anything. Can you go to the pricing page?
Here or manage billing. I'll open both.
I honestly, I don't know. Yeah, let's look at both. My guess is pricing, but we'll see.
Nah, that's whoa.
Okay.
So many things. I mean, they have a lot of stuff. So I'll
Can
just
you zoom
quickly
out?
browse this. Pricing, cloud. I'm gonna just go from the top.
I do like free trial. I mean, that's something that's blocked us before. Like we didn't get very far with Temporal Cloud because they didn't offer a free trial before.
Yes, that's a big thing once you're playing with things. A free trial is usually
Okay, here,
helpful.
go up, go up.
You found it?
Yeah,
Wait,
it's
wait, wait.
this segment, this section right here, search. So at the left column is like the low tier, I think the entry level tier that does cost money. So it has, let's see the capabilities here. I guess it doesn't even matter because we're not going to be using this. What happens if you click on the free trial button that was up at the top?
Opening a new tab. Maybe that's why this one failed. Let me go manage billing. Yeah. Okay.
That makes sense.
Oh,
Okay.
billing already started. Check your subscription, monitor, check your billing history. If you have a project that you're no longer using, stop charges, which means there's some sort of recurring, maybe. Billing usage. So it's
Yeah.
based off
Serverless
of
billing
consumption.
dimension. I see it. It's in the nav bar. It's the second to the last one under manage billing in the nav bar.
And the nav bar here?
On the left. Yeah. Go down, down, down. There. Oh, you passed it. Up, up, up. This is really good
This.
live streaming quality right here. Yeah. I feel like everyone's like typing comments. Up, dang it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we have Andres
Uh,
build a UI? Somebody's asking if I can build a UI for Elasticsearch. Probably not. Um, let's not go there. That would be the whole stream. Okay. Billing dimensions for Elasticsearch. VCUs,
where's
information,
that defined? Virtual compute units, which is a slice of RAM, CPU, and local disk for
local disk for
caching. Oh, it's
caching.
all three of those things. That's interesting. Number of VCUs required will depend on the amount and the rate of data sent to Elasticsearch and retained, and the number of searches and latency you require for searches.
In addition,
Okay.
if you require machine learning, there's more.
Yeah. Okay. Minimum. That's not a word that we like to see when we're talking about serverless, at least serverless pricing.
Yeah.
So when you create a project, a minimum number of VCUs are always allocated to your project to maintain basic capabilities. These VCUs are used for the following purposes: ingest, so consuming data, ensure constant availability for ingesting data into your
For
project. For
search,
and then
maintain a data
and for
cache.
search, maintaining a data cache and supporting the latency searches, which is 8. It's
Yeah,
because it's a slice of RAM, CPU, and disk. It's hard to gauge like how much that actually is.
if they had it separated, you can minimize the amount you have to, I mean, because you can have the cache and that's just storage, or local disk,
Yeah,
but it's all part of the same chunk.
and
So
then we
there's
have different
incurring a
types of
minimum
VCUs.
cost. So there's
Okay,
still
there's
decisions to be made.
this is already, I don't know.
But there's no
Simple is
numbers.
one of
There's
the
no,
words I like to use.
you can't control in a number of ways. Firstly, there's the amount of data that is retained in Elasticsearch will ensure the most recent data is cached, allow for fast retrieval. Yeah, if less data means less
Makes sense.
VCUs.
That's
If you need,
I would really hope that it always ensures the most recent data is cached.
okay, here it is. Pricing, base cost, hourly minimum compute resource include 4 and 8, right? What we just saw.
So it's priced per hour for the compute.
Here
And
it
then, yeah,
is.
there's total.
Finally.
Okay, cool.
Base cost hourly minimum compute resources, $1.28 per hour
Okay.
per VCU hour
Ingest.
per VCU hour per VC. There's some math. Persistent storage and search AI lake. This I don't think is something we would be using. Egress. Hey, free. During technical preview. Time series. Oh, look at that. They're working on time series and they have the vector search.
That's
We're doing
nifty. Okay.
general purpose.
So it looks
So I'm
like
pretty
if
sure I'm pretty
go
sure
ahead.
someone will do the math and get the minimum monthly price you'll get for this. Are
If
you
it's
good at
always
math,
on.
Alan? Yeah, if it's all,
Yeah,
you can
I
try
am good
it.
at
I mean,
math. I
'cause
have a calculator button on my computer, on my keyboard. 1.28 times 24 times 30. That's $921 for the base
on the base
cost
cost.
month per month for a 30-day month. 928. Wow. Did I do that right? Yeah. Yes, right? A dollar times 24. So that's how much it costs. $30 a day to run. And then, yeah, a 30-day.
It's
Yeah.
900. Yeah. And
Well,
that's the
and
base
that's if you're
cost.
not
And
using it. Yeah, that's if you're
yeah.
not using it. So
Okay.
one thing that you would observe with the cost difference in the ingest versus the search is that it costs more for write operations than it does for read operations,
Yeah.
which makes sense. Which definitely makes sense, but that's just something to consider for these for the workloads that you put into something like this. Is if you want to try to optimize cost, maybe we try to batch some of those ingest
Yeah.
operations, see if you can get those VCUs down. Okay, so not super impressed as far as the serverless litmus test goes by judging a book by its cover, uh, but that's fine. I kind of felt that way. I think we both felt that way about temporal before we got
Yeah.
into it, and then we actually started using it, and I changed my mind completely. I thought it was awesome.
I mean, there's the value, right? If for a company you want search, maybe $900 a month is not that terrible as the base cost. For me,
Mhm.
Joe Schmo, just building random apps for fun. Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah. Okay, let's spin it up. Let's do our free trial.
Okay. Should I do Google? Nah. Let's do. Well, everybody's gonna look at my suggested password. Let me
Of
get this off
all
the
the
screen.
Uh, so what should I do while you're doing that? I'll
Uh,
just stand here and do comic relief.
yeah, just
That's something that I
you can.
saw in the docs that was talking about, I don't know, it was like scanning a bunch of data in inside of Elastic. We just had a talk yesterday from Cliff Crossland, the CEO of Scanner, that was extremely cool. I've had him on my podcast before, and he talked about how he solved scanning across large data sets in extremely small amounts of time. I would actually consider using something like that versus Elastic,
That's true. Yeah,
depending on
yeah,
how
yeah.
easy it is to get the new vendors in the door. Okay, so all you did was sign in with your Gmail, and it brought you to this page, right?
Yeah, set up a password, logged in.
Okay.
It brought me into a previous page that just asked for my name and my company, and then now we're here. So
Okay,
let's
great.
say we're new. Let's see what it does. Live stream. There's no option for that. Okay, do something else. And we're doing search. Continue. What configuration would you like for your serverless? General purpose? Do you want vectors?
Yep. Yeah.
General purpose. This is coming soon. And lastly, where would you like your data stored? I mean, we live on the edge. Yeah, there we go. Living on
There
the
we go.
edge. US East 1.
I think where you live in Texas is like smack dab in the middle of the country.
Yeah, it's probably the same.
You could choose. You could
Yeah,
choose. Yeah.
I'm right in the middle.
At
Provider, it
one fiber line.
says
Yep.
is a drop down, but it only has one.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I was reading some docs prior to this stream about Elastic, and I actually asked the question. I was like, wait, does GCP own Elastic? Because they have some tight partnership, GCP, Google Cloud, and Elastic. So I'm actually really surprised to see that AWS is the only provider in here.
Yeah.
But okay, yeah, let's launch it.
Launch.
This is like, is this the clock? Like, should I start the 1 hour timer now?
Oh, maybe, yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, okay. Let me kick that off. Where'd
I'll
I
add
put that?
some
Here it
background
is. 1
music.
hour. Go.
Do you like some dance pop?
What does it sound like?
Well, let's play it. Yeah.
I feel like we have too many clips of us doing that exact thing from all the stuff that we've done this year. Okay, so another checklist item in the serverless litmus test is instantly available upon provisioning. So I can hit an API call and say, create me a new, we'll use AWS for an example, create me a new Lambda function, or using Memento, create me a new cache, and boom, it's done, right? It takes 2 milliseconds to run that operation, and 5 milliseconds later, you can actually use it. You can run it or put an item in the cache. This does not feel like it passes that one to me.
And you might say, okay, once you have this is setting up an AWS account and all that stuff for you, right? Or maybe it's sharing an account. I don't know what their tenancy model looks like. But maybe you can consider at that point the creating an index and executing a search. Maybe if you give them that benefit, you can consider it the start it up with an API. Maybe. No.
I want to be more strict on it than that. I don't think so. Because you get into conversations about different forms of tenancy and what happens when you are creating instances per tenant, which is a totally valid thing to do in multi-tenancy. If you try to go and run an operation like this where it's taking minutes at a time to go in and spin that up,
Yeah.
then it's not, I don't know, I don't like it. Okay.
So do you want to go .NET for this one?
Let's use Ruby. No, let's just do curl for the whole thing.
Love it. Okay, just reading up, select your client. We're going to do JavaScript. Sync your data with a connector. Sync popular third-party data sources, open code connectors on your infrastructure. You want to take a peek there?
No. Well, what happens?
Okay.
Like, what do these buttons do? If you click JavaScript, what happens?
Nothing.
Nothing? Is there a button further down?
Oh, look at that. Okay, I'm just too zoomed in.
Noise. Okay.
So if I do .NET, it's changing. Yeah, how to install it. So it's npm install. Do you want me to send you these commands, or let's just read through them, then you'll execute them? Oh wait,
yes, I want to read through.
Yeah.
So install the package. Cool. Add an API key. We can do that. Scroll down. Let's see what else we have. Copy your connection details. So you need an API key and connection details?
Well, how are you communicating to your instance?
Well, when we were working with Neon, and we were doing that serverless assessment, the authentication was in the connection string going to Neon.
That's true. Yeah, that was nice. Yeah, because you can have that information either embedded in your API key or mapped with your API key. Recommendations. Specific client libraries, connectors can use the. Okay, so if we had a connector, you can just use the client ID. But let me generate one.
Okay.
Configure
You're going through the steps before we even know what to do. All right, cool.
Configure your client. Test your connection.
Fine.
Pre-process.
Okay, I mean, as far as
create
development experience goes, that's really not bad.
Yeah, I can follow this.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. I will. You let me switch over to VS Code. Let me see the package name one more time. It's @elastic/Elasticsearch serverless. Okay.
You got it all?
Yeah.
Or send you a command.
I mean, I think I can remember that.
Okay. New API key. What's the name?
I forgot what it was.
I sent it in our super exclusive private chat.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Expiration date. So I'll speak while I'm generating the API key. You can add expiration dates. Let's show it back. Let's go back to my screen a little bit.
Oh no, there we go.
There we go. Whew. Alan, I don't think we've just done 1 minute. So I think the timer's a low. Flawed. Maybe it's restarting.
Timer, how much did Elastic pay you to slow down?
So you can select how many days, right? Tells you when. Control security privileges. I would recommend for people watching principle of least privilege here. So you can specify which indices have which privileges. Control APIs and resources using predefined roles. Okay, so you can create roles. This is these are roles. And you can specify which indices you have access to with what privileges. Pretty convenient.
I'm a fan of that. I think we should make 2 API keys for this. I think the build that we're going to be doing is an API that has 2 endpoints. One, which is just simple data ingestion. Just go ahead and take data and add it into an index. And then the other one that we have is search, which is the read operation. So I think we should make 2 API keys. One that's read only, and then one that is write only. And then we can, of course, test that and see what kind of errors we get when we
nice that it has this little boilerplate. Do you want?
I like that.
Null check and just see how strict it is, and we can test if you get a 403 or 401.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so we got the read, null check, read. In 60 days, create API key. It shows it. I'll send it.
Of course it shows it. And you're still showing it on the screen.
Well, usually you want it to be hidden by default.
So that's the saying here, don't do what we do.
Yeah. And
Do
then
as we do. Then you're gonna do it again.
I can't get the option here to create another API key. But oh look, there's a playground. So I'm gonna go to management, just click around here. API keys.
Hey.
Okay, so create an
Okay,
API
so that's the
key.
read, and then you're gonna do the write.
Expiration date, 60 days. Control security privileges, write only to null check. Add metadata. Oh, the other one
I
gave
assume
me.
that's things like user access, like maybe, yeah. Okay, so that's
Yeah, I
give us
think
a
it
lot of
just embeds
information.
this, adds information about the API key. We'll see
Yeah.
what it does. We can figure that out.
I like that. That feels like a mature feature to me.
Go away.
I didn't even see it
Okay.
that time. Okay,
I sent
so now
you-
that we have
yeah.
both of our API keys, I need you to also send me the endpoint URL.
Okay. There you
And
go.
then we probably, before we switch over to VS Code, need to create the index.
Index management.
Yeah, and then
I'm
create
assuming this is
the-
these are things we could create using the API or the SDK. For the sake
Mhm.
of this live stream, we're creating it here.
Does that work? Is that the same value you used for the API keys? That index name?
Yes.
Same capitalization and everything?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes. Let me go out of here.
All right, no, that's fine.
YouTube,
I'm just
watch the
I just
YouTube
wanna make sure that
recording.
you're sure. Okay, so with that, then we're good. Can you go to the code sample? Let's just do that.
Home. JavaScript.
And our
And
API key. Okay, cool.
do you want to switch
And
to VS Code
then-
and I'll send you the snippets?
Yeah. So just so you guys know, just a reminder, Andres and I always prep at least a little bit for these sessions, just so you don't have to watch us scramble as much. And I set up a very basic boilerplate AWS API. It's an API that connects to two Lambda functions. We have add data and search as far as our Lambda functions go. And they will be pulling these values that Andre sent to me privately out of Secrets Manager. Hey, look, our timer reset back to an hour. I wanted to, that's super annoying. I just like full disclosure, I did not watch the overlay for an hour to make sure it went all the way down. So I guess it's only doing like 2 minutes. It's annoying. Okay. All right. Let's start. Actually, why don't you kill time while I copy these API keys into the environment file?
Okay, let's show my screen so I'm curious about this. Oh, first the connectors. So I'm assuming it's kind of like predefined. Okay, so you can run it in Docker. Connector type. So giving you ways to connect this to ingest data. Let's say like GitHub would give us something. Configure connect index. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what this is doing. So we'll not go the connector route. Ugh. Oh, type in delete. But the playground, this is what I'm curious on. Connect to an LLM. Not exactly what this playground. Experiment with combining your Elasticsearch data with powerful large language model using playground for retrieval, augmented generation. And select your data source. So no, we don't have that. Oh yeah, look at that. So we can select our index. and then add code, or I want to chat. Connect to an LLM. Interesting. Do I need to have an API key? Probably, yeah.
Of course. That's pretty nice, though.
Yeah, I'm not going to go through it because I don't have the API keys, but that's pretty nice. And it gives you code to actually. Well, yeah, Python and LangChain Python. But it
I
gives you
am
code to
ready.
execute that.
That's nice.
Nice.
I'm ready,
Okay,
by the
I
way.
like
Whenever
this.
you're ready. I'm just gonna get rid of our timer since that's clearly not working. I think it is
Yes.
stopping it at 2 minutes. It's kind of annoying. Oh well.
Well,
Okay,
play
let's
by
do-
ear, maybe have like 40 minutes more, maybe 30.
I think it's more than that. It's more than that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a secret inside of AWS Secrets Manager, and it has that connection endpoint URL. It has the read API key and the write API key. It's just saving all of those values in here, and then we'll be able to access those inside of the Lambda functions themselves. So you sent me a code snippet, and it's just setting up the client.
Yes.
So
And
let's.
there's
I guess we'll
another
do add data.
snippet to test the connection, so I'll send you that as well. Oh, that was configured. No, what did I do? Oh, I'm in Java. JavaScript. Come on.
All right, this
Okay, so
isn't.
that's the
It's
client. It's not formatted. Oh, it's not.
It's
yes.
no, it's not. It's not. No, that's fine. Okay, so we have that line, and then we have.
Kind of
this.
already have.
So
Yeah.
let's do this. We have to pull this out.
Get secret, and you'll have the ARN, I'm assuming, as an environment variable.
Yeah, I pre-did that over here.
Sweet.
Okay. So we have this, and that's going to bring back that JSON object that we were looking at in the template file. So now we can actually go and replace some of these values.
And just a little shout out to the Lambda Power Tools team. I've used this get secret thing a whole lot. And then once I discovered the transform JSON, it's magical. It turned 3 lines into 1 line. Every Lambda function I'm ingesting secrets from. It's lovely.
It's so nice. So nice. Okay. And then we have API key, and then that. This is the add data, so this is going to be the write.
Yeah.
I saved that in the write property in here. So let's make it so we don't always have to do that, just for fun. Const setup. Yes. Okay, so we're doing that. We're saying get the secrets. If not client, then do these things.
Yeah, and remove the const from the client.
Yeah.
Just so it uses the. There we go.
Okay, that way we can reuse this initialized client between invocations if anybody is wondering what we are doing. Await.
Yeah.
Setup ES. Okay. This is actually going to be pretty important because I don't know if we're going to get a whole bunch of errors.
Okay. 500. 500.
Should I just do a 200 and put a status code inside of the body that is returned?
I would love that.
I know how you're a fan.
I still see it very oftenly.
Yeah, we don't have to get on a rant on that today. Okay, so this was pretty quick. It only took a minute to get that. Now, how do we test it? I don't know. Let's see what kind of I lose my IntelliSense because I do it this way, which is annoying. Just dumb. Let's look at the IntelliSense here. Let me see what we have down here. Is there, what's it called? Insert? Let's do index.
It would be, look at that.
I mean, I don't know if that's true, but we could try it.
I will, on the side, look at some docs. Where did my instance of?
So it has title and content. Okay, yeah, nice. Okay. It doesn't look like index.
Oh, ingest data. I mean, they have a full example for data ingestion. Go take a peek at the
let me flip back to the
super
docs.
private.
Here.
Or I can paste it.
Look, here. Just. Oh God.
Yeah. So we were here. I sent you this to test the. This is how you would test the connection.
Oh yeah, cool. Okay, we'll do that. Nice.
I didn't send it, and I can.
It's just client.info.
Yeah, I guess it's logging, and the whole bulk of it is the actual example.
Well, I'll just have that be. Okay. Here, let me switch back and we'll take a look. It's client.info. Const index equals await client.info. Right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, and then we'll just have that be the response, and we'll see what it does. Do you think that's gonna work?
Yeah.
Do you? Do you actually?
I actually do think it's gonna work. There's not much to it, right? You're creating a client, unless you messed up the SAM template with the secrets. Do you have the SAM config with the secrets in it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. That's set up. Okay, so we're gonna deploy that. That's gonna update the secrets that we have up there in the cloud, and then we're gonna run through, see if we can get this going. Dang it.
Unresolved dependency elastic.
Oh, okay. Oh, no, you're right. That was on me. Actually, I don't know where that is. Oh, there we go. I renamed this.
So close. So close.
That was. I really like it when things worked for the first time. Well, I say that. I think I would. I'm not sure that's ever happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was so confident.
What we'll do...
I'm confident in Elastic's ability to instantiate a client.
Yeah. I said to somebody the other day that between you and I was talking about the live streams that you and I do when we're assessing new things. I was like, between Andres and I, we have almost 25 years of programming experience. And it's things like that where I leave a sub value. It's like, do we have 25 years of programming experience?
That's why people seem to think you can drop pull requests and reviews with more seniority, and I always say no, never. Even if you have 30 years experience in whatever language, and that's what you're still working on, and you're doing some work, reviews always help.
Yeah, they do. Okay, I set up this Postman collection for us to test it out. So let's see what it does. Something went wrong.
Can you return the error here?
Yeah, I can.
It just feels like everything's lined up like it should be, because this is following the regular process we have.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, you know what? Oh, well, that's not. It's this. It's this. It's 100% that. That one's on me. That's on me. That's
you trusting Copilot Q. Right? What was it there?
Okay. So now it'll work. I still didn't change this. I probably should, but I always forget what is the property that I need to print. Is it error.message? You can do that for next time.
I think it is.
Maybe Q will tell me. No. It's like you're on your own. It's what you get for using just plain JavaScript. That's fine.
Yeah.
I was trying to think.
While
this is going, I was trying to think of a way to sell just like regular JavaScript to somebody who doesn't like it. And I was thinking, it's like, what if somebody gave you the nicest camera in the world, and you didn't want a camera, you really wanted the new iPhone, you could say, oh, that's fine, it's actually an iPhone. And it is what it is. You could do that with JavaScript. Just reassign the variable to the iPhone.
It just works.
It just works. Yes. Okay, it still says something went wrong. I will change the... Oh, it already is changed. We probably should bring up the console, though. It would be a little helpful.
Is this on our regular account?
Yes, it is. It is.
Sweet.
So unless I didn't add that secret ID environment variable, which is possible. No, I did. That should work. That should work.
Where's this?
I really like the speed of the feedback loop when you're building an API and you're using the Postman plugin inside of VS Code. It just goes so fast. And it would go even faster if I was using SAM Sync, because it would be pushing up to the cloud as I'm making changes.
And you can trail logs from the terminal or using the AWS toolkit for that Lambda function.
True. Okay, this actually is pretty helpful. It's a security exception. This is not authorized for this API key for this user. This action is granted by the cluster privileges. What does that mean? Oh, it's probably because we're using a read API.
The read
key.
token?
It's an operation. Yeah. Or a write. It's a write token. Okay. Which makes sense. I mean, that totally makes sense. This is trying to do basically a control plane operation, and we scoped that API key to write only.
Do you want a third one?
No. I'd rather you just... Honestly, I'd rather you just update this key so we can get moving.
Okay, let me go back to Elastic. Where was this?
But the good news is here, while you're doing that, is that we didn't do it wrong. We did what was in the docs, and it did kind of do its own thing. While you're doing that, I need to figure out how we actually add data in here.
Control access to specific. So I'm going to remove that control access and see what that does, because the boilerplate just gives me write only or read only. So no control. It's good that it didn't expose the actual API key.
That is good.
It's the, which one are you using? The read, right?
No, write. I'm using write right now. The write API key for the one that writes data.
True. Okay. Remove this. Update API key. Okay, run it. Oh, the client's going to be maybe just need a new Lambda.
It shouldn't matter though, because it's going to be evaluating that API key. It should. Yeah, see, different. Minimum. Okay.
You know, for search.
For search.
Love it.
What does that mean though? Build flavor is serverless.
Build type is Docker, minimum wire compatibility. It's just it's things they would ask for if you have an issue. Like, okay, give me that information.
And that's so I can. Since you're taking forever to bring up the AWS console, I'm just gonna.
Hey, I have it open. Sorry.
Do you? Okay,
well, let's. Waiting.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna bring it back. Bring up CloudWatch, and let's look at what's logged for that specific invocation, because there's more detail somewhere. It's just not in error.message.
What's the function name? And I'll just go from here.
You go to, it's called add data.
There we go.
You definitely get to CloudWatch a different way than I do.
I just go to the log group directly from the Lambda.
Do you mean Lambda function?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just checking. Just checking that's what you meant.
From the Lambda service.
From Lambda. I got it.
Okay, it's the latest one?
Yeah.
Response error. This is the
Can you
security
zoom in?
exception. Ooh, yeah. We don't have any logs for that one. We have the failure, then the one that worked.
Okay. Let me run it again.
You're not printing the info.
I am. I'm doing console.error error. Look.
On the error. The error. But on the actual one that worked, you got the client info.
I don't understand. This is what I have.
Yeah, so you're returning the index, which is actually the client info and the success. The last request you did is returning that information on the API.
Oh! Right? I don't know.
It's a 200.
Yeah. Hey, we're... Okay.
You succeeded before you even thought you succeeded, Alan. Look at you.
Yeah. Good for. I just expected it just to continue failing. Wow. Okay.
That's what I was saying, right? If you actually have an issue, they would probably ask for the client info to get all the versions of the crap you're running. Okay. So yeah, this actually worked. I love the tagline. That makes this
even funnier. Okay.
Because maybe if you're doing like the vector or the other ones, it might have a different tagline. Maybe that's how they identify the type of client you're running.
Okay. Let's put data in. Await.
Okay.
Client dot.
Hold on. I got you.
Okay, great. Yeah, let's use the docs. Or let's use the quick start. All for that.
Yeah.
What you sent me in our private chat was truncated the last time.
Yeah, I'll paste it myself since I do have access here. Setup index.
Client.helpers.bulk. Well, we're not doing a bulk operation. Oh, look at that. I forgot that you and I were sharing a session in VS Code. Okay. Dude, I guess we changed this, right?
Yes.
On document. Okay.
Let me format this. I don't have a formatter for. What? Maybe it's because it's running U. I don't know.
I don't want to jack up our index, so I am just going to put in that one object that we're passing into the request. Oh, data. This. I'm getting rid of this.
Oh.
Okay. It's fine. Yeah. Okay, yeah, we can do a console log there, and then we'll do... I guess we could do that? I don't know.
So this is doing a bulk. Okay.
Result. Oh, wait, no. No, hold on. Getting all sort of disoriented here. This is what we want. We want to return, we'll return the result. Yeah.
Yeah. So it will tell you how many it indexed. Yeah, yep. So if you're doing bulk, it's nice that it tells you how many failed, how many succeeded, and all that, so you can potentially reach. I don't know what you would do. That's true, because you don't get the exact info of which ones failed. So you would have some retry logic.
I would actually be surprised if it didn't have that built in. There's probably some sort of a params in here that has retries.
So based on their just getting started, I'm feeling confident we'll finish pretty soon. Like the base.
Great. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I'm about that. So if this works, what I did in this Postman thing is I have it set to generate a bunch of random data. Random first name, random last name, random color. This is basically your favorites API. Favorite fruit, favorite sport, favorite number, then your favorite animal, and what your favorite name is for an animal. And I wanted to do this specifically because I wanted to do a search on a nested object.
Okay.
And because that's hilarious, your favorite
just dynamically. Do you think it just dynamically maps everything as the index? You know how you can do like specifically just index first name and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Okay, got one.
yes. Looks like yes. Okay, so let's spam it. Let's run this a lot.
And lucky for all of us, there's a performance tab here.
It's not in. Yeah, it's not in the VS Code extension, which is fine.
Oh, it kicked me out.
Did it?
Yeah, relogging in.
So looking at this Lambda function, it's taken about 300 milliseconds on average to index this data. Is that how do you? I guess no. It's running at a gig. It has a 1024 meg configured on it. I'm kind of surprised. I honestly thought it would be a little bit faster than that because it's reusing that initialized client. Unless what we're seeing here, no, we're not seeing it spin up a bunch of concurrent Lambda functions because this is basically running in sequence. So it's reusing that execution environment every time, and it's taken about low 300s. Every now and then you get an outlier of lower or higher. That's slower than I thought. What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, this is the data ingestion, so you truly don't need to await it, right? And just have it go. You would expect some eventual consistency when indexing in OpenSearch, right? So there's always that lag. You obviously don't want that lag to be that much.
Yeah.
So one thing you could do a deeper trace analysis there on what each piece is taken. Maybe we're not caching the client correctly. Maybe it is. Maybe it's new executions and we don't see them.
We're also using a bulk operation for a single item. That might take a little bit. It might have overhead. I don't know. But I'm not gonna deduct points from Elastic for that, from Elasticsearch for that time. I mean, 300 milliseconds is still fine. That's within that range of user attention span of making sure that people still think it's doing something. But you're right. This is generally going to be an async operation anyway. Okay, so while that's going,
the read though, that's the one I would like to see faster. The read one.
Yes, and I imagine that will be. So, did you find anything in the docs? Let's open up the docs or the quick start that you had. I see you're using the console. Switch back to Elastic. Let's go back to their quick start.
I'm
okay, let's look at search. Let's see what that one does.
You'll be surprised.
This is in Java.
Oh, jeez, so close.
I wonder why it defaults to Java. That's interesting. It's an interesting choice.
So search, client search, index, and your query. This is when you can go crazy, add facets, aggregate data, and all that fun stuff. But just free text, you can type in a name and see if it comes back, right? And you get the hits. You want me to send it? Oh, I can paste it.
Yeah.
This is where so most of my complications with search is the indexing part. It's like specifically indexing and getting into more complex query indices. And then the query, once you do like full match, partial match, SoundX, right? You can do all those things, facets, add a very interesting twist on things. So I'm going to paste this just there.
Where?
In the search side, on the search side.
Cool. I'm going to copy over the code that we already did that sets up Elasticsearch and stuff. So we don't have to build that again.
It's good that it's Friday and I'm all partied up with the music.
There's so many times, Andres, that you say something, I just don't even know what to say to that. I don't know. I legit don't know what to say to that. Great.
That means I succeeded.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Okay, so this one we're doing read. We need to change the API key to read. That's really the only difference that we have. We need to change this
and
to our
I did not change that one to be full admin key, right? This one's still scoped to just the read for that specific token
Okay, cool.
or that API key.
And that's fine because we're not trying to do any control plane operations.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm gonna verify the control privilege. Yeah, privilege, allow restricted indices. We should be good. You excited?
I am. Like, this is okay. Well, I'm doing the search query of snow. We're just hold on. Let's change this. What should the search query be? I guess
John.
we'll hold on. Hold on. We'll at least do this. Let's see. We'll just
Input.
say criteria equals JSON.parse event.body, and then we'll just say the query is criteria dot, let's just say first name. We'll do that for now. Yeah, let's leave it at that.
I like it.
Okay, and then while that's deploying, I'll set up our Postman thingy. Okay.
Okay.
So Postman, let's duplicate this guy, and we'll just do search, and we'll change our endpoint to search, and body, we could do
a random name.
Yeah, first name. Let's just type one in. My guess is one of the random first names was probably Bob. Probably. That's using Faker behind the scenes. We'll see. All right, here we go. Nothing. What are some? Okay, I think at this point, hey.
Sarah.
So this hit was Katrine Kulas's.
So it has a first name, last name, and a name. It hit the nested. No.
It did, yeah.
Oh, the animal name.
It's doing a full text search on that. So her favorite animal name was Sarah, and her favorite animal type was a capybara. This person is all sorts of crazy. I actually think I like this person a lot. Her favorite color is olive. Her favorite fruit is lychee. She's big into curling. And then classic, her favorite number is 100. Man, I like this person. Okay, so let's modify the result here. We need to. I want to see what data actually comes back.
The animal names are interesting. Shauna, I'm looking at the Kibana, so you got access to Kibana directly from the.
Here, let's bring that up. I want to see what that looks like.
So here in the Kibana, there's the Discover.
Zoom in.
There we go. Let's see if I can restructure this. Okay, yeah. So you can see Shauna, Afton, Devon, Dacia, Cindy, Irwin, Kaylee. Got kangaroos, axolotl. I can never pronounce axolotl. Tiger, blue-footed booby. What is that? It's a fish. Blue-footed booby called Greg.
Now how? Greg. A blue-footed booby is a bird.
Okay. Red panda.
You would know that if you didn't pay for Spotify. That's like literally the only ad that I get served on Spotify. It's talking about how some people know things, and then it plays the call of a blue-footed booby, and the woman says, like, some people know that's the call of a blue-footed booby. It's like, oh, okay. Look, sounds like a seagull, in case you were wondering.
So you're actually benefiting from not paying Spotify. Look at that.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yes, and I just have to throw that back to you from years ago when we were working out and the ads get served. Just pay.
Just pay, yeah. Okay, we can go back to, what do you want to do now?
To the code. I want to create an endpoint that bloop actually adheres to the schema that I defined beforehand. I said that, where is it? This one. I said that the search endpoint would return this. It would return the count, and then it would return an array of items that match
the whole thing.
So I want to
Okay.
do this. I want to do this. And based on what we've seen, what do you think the property is for the number of hits?
I think it's going to be at that root level. So
You do? Okay.
So let's see if I can trigger an example over here. Send request.
That actually looked pretty good. No.
Too good to be true? It did, I think it is. No?
Yeah, I think this is it. Get rid of that trailing comma. We'll see if that works. I don't know if this is it. I know that Elasticsearch pages results, so this is the one that I'm hoping actually gives us the total across all the pages.
Yeah, if not, we can log the search result.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So if we
figure
can
it out.
get this working, Andres, then really, I mean, then I think we've done it. I think we have done what we aimed to do. I would actually like to see how easy or hard it is to build a little bit better search than just this pass in a value and do a full text search. I would like to see like maybe we can get the animal search in there or number or whatever.
Okay.
And do you know like is there another example in the quick start for building a search query that's not this free text search?
No, but I am looking in their dev tools and they have like help, so we can look into that. But I think this is just learn about console and query DSL. Now you just get into just proper querying Elasticsearch indexes.
Yep.
Which is the same whether it's serverless or non-serverless. It's just how you do queries.
Yeah.
Which now is just up to us and our capabilities, which I'm willing to try.
Yeah. Yes. But it brought it back in the format that we wanted, which is nice.
Let's see if...
It's not formatting it automatically, so I'm gonna add this. I'm just gonna add the header in there, just so it's easier for me.
Oh, the JSON app. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's all I want. Okay. So what should we do? How should we do this?
So I think you do I don't know how easy it would be if you could pass in an object just to the query and you have basically spread operator. Hey, if first name passed in, pass in the first, but I think you need to match on a specific attribute if you wanted to. So I'm opening more.
Yes, this is the time where we diverge from our let's never look at the docs, let's only look at the quick starts, to looking at the docs, because I think honestly that we've validated it's really easy to get started, to get up and running. That really wasn't bad.
It's looking at, obviously there's, and if let's switch back to my screen a little bit.
Yeah.
In the, where was this? I think in the management. So index management. So remember, you can do pipelines to kind of transform all the data and all that fun stuff. But I was looking, what was it in performance? You can obviously change this, right? The search power, it's balanced. Obviously it's limited on the trial, but you can cost efficient performance. You can change all these things. Search the boost window, how much data can benefit from faster search. 7 days, that's nice. So you can switch it to whatever. And data retention policies. I was just thinking what else you would need to manage as far as the VCUs, right? How do you manage that? And maybe it's at the Elastic project level, but I'm not there.
Are we able to look? I actually want to dive more into this dashboard. Is this a Kibana No, this is just the Elastic dashboard. How many VCUs have we used?
So there's just the Kibana route where it's
Okay.
you can do all this, but I don't think this is what's giving us the information around anything, right? This is just creating dashboards based on your data.
Yeah. Yep.
And then I would look at the dev tools. This is where you can run your own queries, right? So, hey, this index did not exist. So if I were to search, what was our null check? Look, it even has, but if I were to do
Has a little bit of
this,
IntelliSense. That's nice.
yeah.
It took
but
8.
You can trigger the 8 milliseconds, no, 172 milliseconds.
And
What?
it's possible that it took 8 milliseconds of server time, and the rest of that
Yeah.
was TLS.
But yeah, if I look for what you do, Sarah. So you can test things here. You typically would do something like this. So here it is.
Yeah. Can you search for... I want more than one result. Search for banana.
There you go. So your API would return it and format it, and it would give you 46, and each
Let's
of
do
these
that.
has a score. Yeah.
I am actually a little bit curious about how this query works, and I want to
What's
see
an
what happens.
II? What's an II?
An II is like a monkey type
Oh yeah, I see
thing,
it.
with really big eyes.
It looks
We
like
gotta
a
bring your
bat.
screen up. I see. It does
Just
kind of look
curious.
like a bat.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Yeah,
want
and
to
they
see
have
that
like
at
really
night.
gross looking. They have really gross looking fingers, too. They're pretty.
Yeah, it would scare me.
yucky.
I would scream. I would scream very loud if I see that at
Would
night.
you?
Yeah.
They're like the size. They're like this size. They're not very big.
It's still, look at its face.
What would it do to you? What would it do that would make you scream?
Maybe I would think it's a bat and then it's gonna fly in my face. I don't know.
And what's the back gonna do? You know what? Okay, I'm going back to the to the code. It's Friday, isn't it? Let's do a search. Let's search for Apple and see how many results come back. And yeah, that's 50 results. I actually want to see what happened. Like, can you do with this basic query? Can you do like ands or ors, or is this something where it's just like picking? Like, what if I type in last name? Like, what happens? What happens if I do that? What do you think is going to happen if I type in last name?
I think it's not gonna find anything.
Yeah. Okay.
Correct. Yeah. Not looking at the attribute. I think the simple
It's like
query
your
is just
opinion, man.
it's just doing it across every attribute on the objects that we sent and just doing it.
Yeah, so let's do this. Let's see who's... I don't know, man. I'm gonna search for two things: Apple and black. And I got more results.
So there's
So
color
that was
black.
that was an or.
If you put
Okay.
it in quotes, just like Google.
Well, hold on. We just had Philip from Elastic join us in the backstage.
Ooh.
So I'm gonna have him answer this question first before we start talking about other things. So Philip, welcome to the show.
Hi, how's it going?
Welcome.
It's going very well. We just had a great time building an ingest and a search endpoint for Elastic.
Good.
And
that's
right
really
now,
good.
yes, it really we beat the objective of going from I've never even looked at this, never looked at the docs, haven't done anything, to an ingest and a search data point or endpoint in like, I don't know, realistically it's probably like 40 minutes. We sidetracked a couple of times. We talked about IIs. and talked about other other things in our test data for a bit. But right now, what we were trying to do, and I don't know the answer. It's not super important at this point because we've proven that yes, you can get up and running and actually have something functional in less than an hour. Was how we can build better search queries. Because right now, what we're doing in the search, if you look here, we're just using this queue property and we're just passing in that. So what we were testing out is what happens if you put multiple search terms. Like I had Apple and black in there for the query that we were using, and that was an OR. It returned matches on black, and it returned matches on, well, that one was an and Apple, I'm sure.
Yeah, I saw an Apple on the top.
Okay, good. So how do we build better searches?
And it's like the object with the match and match all and properly doing all that fun stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, how many hours do we have? So search is a complicated problem. So you can spin this many different ways. And if you come from a relational database, you often think of it more in terms of like, oh, it's a like search, and then it's maybe or end connecting. But Elasticsearch or search engine in general works slightly differently. That you have an inverted index in the background, so you break up, like you have this analyzer that breaks out the tokens, and then you can see how you combine the tokens, and you can do a phrase search or a match with an and or an or. You can have Boolean conditions, so you can structure this very many different ways, and depending on how you want to do that, you might also bring in synonyms, or if you want to do more fancy semantic search, which avoids the vocabulary mismatch. If somebody says dark instead of black or whatever, and you might still want to match that. So there are a ton of different ways to do that. The great thing about search is that it's so complicated, and that's why it keeps so many people busy and employed, because you know how much you suffer from bad search on like an e-commerce store, and you might use the wrong term, and then the thing needs to figure out like, what do you even mean? And you have synonyms and you have homonyms, and people always have this assumption, like I type something in and something will come back. But you really need to know, like, what data do I have? What will people query? And what do they expect to come out of that? And you need to have like that combination. So it's not even so much a technical problem to some degree. There is the implementation part, but it's really more about like, what is the user expectation? What should happen here? Or what might the user do? And a lot of that is actually logging what people search for and then what they click, for example. And then you can tune that to all kinds of degrees of like, you can customize it depending on the user profile or their past buying history or what is popular, or maybe you have a better margin on certain products and you might boost them up. So this is a very deep problem, without wanting to deflect the original question too much, but it's the lexical match of like, these are the two words I had and I want to end or connect them. That is the starting point, but that is really only the very beginning of what search can do for you.
Yeah, and it feels like there's a portion of it on how you index the data, right? Because there's a lot of options on how you actually store it, and I can't remember what the terms are, but you can specify it's just a plain text. It's a different type of thing. I can't remember the term.
Yeah,
right?
so
And then how you consume it on the other end from the search, there's another big complicated piece on how you build those queries.
Exactly. It's like, that's the analysis part. So the trick that search engines play over databases is that they do a lot more work up front. So rather than just storing the text and then matching on that, like the classic example is the like or I like match, where it's like you do everything at runtime, and that's slow and expensive at runtime. So search normally does more work upfront at ingestion. And then you can say like, oh, this is English. And then some rules will apply. For example, English is luckily a relatively simple language to some degree, that it knows a plural has an S at the end. So what you do is often you do stemming, that you reduce something to the root or the stem of the word, because you don't really care about like something is singular or plural. If you search for pullover, if pullovers is in the plural there, you're still looking for the concept. You don't care about upper and lowercase normally. You're really more about the concept, and then you might say like, oh, if somebody types in hoodie, it should also match pullovers. You might go for partial matches. I'm a native German speaker, we always compound nouns. So we make these very big words, which is an interesting problem for search. My English example for that is always blueberry. By default, blue would not find blueberry because it matches the entire token. And then you can work around that. And that's just one of 100 different problems that you might encounter in full text search.
Whew. Yeah, definitely what I've seen. I mean, we do search in a very basic manner, but then you also end up including like the sound X. It sounds similar, right? So it's not just visually similar, but it sounds similar.
You
or
do that. It might depend on your pronunciation, and like there are different sound X implementations, and like that might be language specific. That's also the fun part with all of this, is it might be language specific. You might have to figure out like what is the input language and what is somebody searching on, and do you want to auto translate and match across those, or you don't? Like, you have a million different options of what you could do. I hope we made the deployment and getting started easier, but like how to implement search itself is a complicated problem. And there is tooling that we provide to evaluate that and make the building easier. But it is just a deep domain in itself that you need to figure out. And it's often a bit domain specific to some degree. So you really need to figure out what works for you and what do people search for and what do they expect to happen.
So yeah, and I can confirm the setup was very, very easy. We even got like scope tokens and stuff like that from the console. And just the getting started page, that's all we use, right? And most of the time was spent Alan and I just joking around, right? So it's or Alan missed some variable name, the typical coding stuff that we miss, but it's not related to Elastic, which is pretty nice that you can get it set up pretty quickly.
Great. I mean, we've also come a long way. This is much nicer today than it was a couple of years ago. There's still more way to go. We'll have some more things coming up, but yeah, I hope that getting started experience is good now. The full depth of it, I don't think you can abstract everything totally away, because some things you just need to figure out how that works for your area or your domain. But yeah, search is an exciting topic, and with all the AI stuff, search is finally hot again, which is kind of, for us, great, because we've always had the feeling that search is such a big and interesting field and nobody cared about it, or it was underinvested, let's say. And it has finally changed again.
It's most applications I've worked on usually, we need a search capability, right? And everybody's like, oh yeah, just add search. It's like, oh, hold on. This is more complicated than you make it to be, right?
Always is.
Yeah. We've also learned over the years that you can't just build a product and then buy it, but it's really, you need to build that into your specific product.
I had a question about this serverless flavor, because the first thing that we did on the stream was gauge serverlessness, which is what Andres and I always do. That's just kind of our thing. And I'm curious to hear from you, for whatever you can tell us, whatever you're allowed to tell us, like what changes are coming to make it more serverless? Because I did the math. On the lowest tier, I think the minimum usage was like $900 a month, and that's like if it's not even being used. And so I'm wondering, are we
at the base cost?
I'm wondering if we're going to get to like a pure usage-based cost model, and if there's also going to be any other things in there where the provisioning of a serverless project, I think is what it's called, is a little bit faster, like just instantly available.
Yeah, so it is technical preview right now. It's not a GA product. We have optimized, maybe too much. We can argue about that it's very fast. So that our base assumption is always that search should be fast. And that's, I think you have seen that search power configuration. I'm not even sure if search power is the best way to describe it, or did search power make sense for you?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we
cool.
saw it. We saw it there.
That's good to see. But the part of the idea is that you can tune search power, for example, and make it cheaper through that. There are a couple of other optimizations that we have, some more short term and some more longer term. But yeah, the getting started price is for an idle project right now definitely high for a serverless offering.
Yeah, and it's you have the free trial, right? While I was going through the dashboard, it does say it's 14 days, right? So there's typically either that or you have like you get very basic usage for a longer time. It's usually if you're thinking of using it for a real project that's going to make money, 14 days should be good enough to get up and running and verify the product. And what I was telling Alan, for someone like me that is doing a lot of personal projects and things that don't generate money, $900 a month is pretty.
You're not the first one to tell us
unachievable.
that. We've received that feedback from others in the trial. We know that is definitely something in the works. I don't want to publicly promise anything here, but we have some people working very hard on that, but I don't want to throw anybody under the bus or promise anything on their behalf right now.
Live in 2 weeks. It's all free now.
Yeah.
Right.
Announcing at reInvent.
I think I'm already getting the angry Slack messages in the background right now from this.
Stop.
Yeah, we are very aware that is in the works. So for now, it's a preview. We were mostly keen on launching this. I think our biggest fear was that performance would be poor, and that especially for search, because there are all these studies like people will abandon your page if search is slow. That is kind of like the one area we have optimized for right now, but it's probably figuring out the right balance of getting that to work. Also, how quickly the auto scaling will effectively kick in, because that's the other fear, is that you have a promotion online and then suddenly 500 people show up and just your instance cannot scale up quickly enough, and then they will abandon your site because they're frustrated. So we optimized more on that side, but it will be a balance. You will have a few more configuration options yourself, and we'll automate some of that away in the background, so to make it a bit more serverless. So that the way I like to frame it more from an engineering perspective, the main engineering feat so far is the stateless nature of Elasticsearch, that Elasticsearch is storing its data on S3 directly and not on the instance anymore, which will then allow much more of that scaling up, scaling down, and like the durability, and also breaking up reads and writes. And you can scale the search part, for example, independently of the ingestion. That was the main engineering feat. But there are a lot of more knobs to tune right now as we build this out.
Yeah, because I can see in some of the applications I worked on where ingestion, I might be able to take a hit and make it slower, but search, I want faster and I want it immediate. So you can being able to play around with those, that would be awesome.
That is exactly part of why we have a serverless offering, to decouple those two, because previously it was all merged together, which has its own advantages, and local storage has its perks in terms of performance. But with the search power and like how much you cache, basically, you can get away with that. But the engineering feat so far, and we've been working on this internally for a while, was mostly the stateless nature. And now as we're getting closer to GA, I always jokingly say now it's the second 80% of any software project. That you think you're there, but then it turns out you're not quite there. So we are on that second 80% stretch.
That's awesome.
Yes, where 80% of the work takes 20% of the time, and the last 20% of the work takes 80% of the time.
I'm not sure it has taken only 20% so far, but it's a work in progress. Let's just keep it at that.
Is there a date for GA for this?
Not one that I could, like, we have a target, obviously, but we don't promise anything. So we've learned over the time, you don't win much if you announce a date. You only lose if you don't hold the date for whatever reason. That's why we got cautious to not promise anything publicly.
I appreciate that as an engineer.
That's a good answer.
It's, it helps the engineers do the right things.
It is the same, by the way, for our downloadable or the hosted non-serverless cloud offering, that we never promise a date, because sometimes you find a bug and then you just need another week or so to fix whatever problems you found, or you found a performance regression, and you hold back the release for the right reasons, but then everybody is upset if you don't hold that committed date. Whereas if we don't communicate that, if you know our release cycles, you have a rough idea when stuff will come out, but sometimes we might need to push it by a day or a week for the right reasons. And the disappointment for not holding the date would be much larger than not having a date, but then getting the right product.
Yep.
I like that answer. It's the non-committal, but the battle-tested and proven answer.
I've been at Elastic for more than 8 years.
Oh, so you've seen a whole lot go down in that time. Oh man. Don't even. No, I'm not. I was about to ask about OpenSearch, but I'm not going to do that since we're almost out of time.
I saw your initial tweet. I think it is part of the fight that we have been fighting, that there is this confusion to some degree, and too often people say, oh, it's all the same, and we strongly disagree that it's not all the same. But that is probably a separate discussion.
Yeah, the tweets were wrong. Andres sent me a message that said, hey, let's test Elastic serverless or Elasticsearch serverless, and I just thought, Andres and I have been working together for like 10 years, and I just thought, oh, he just made a mistake, he means OpenSearch. And so I created all this stuff, all my automations pick it up, and they like generate all these social media messages and stuff, and that went out the door. And then like 5 minutes after that automation ran, Andres texted me, he's like, no, I meant Elasticsearch, not OpenSearch. I'm like, dang it, all the social media stuff's going to be wrong. Honestly, I didn't even know that Elastic had a serverless offering, so I was excited to try it out.
Yeah, as we're still building it, we haven't made a lot of noise about it yet, since we're building and we're keenly aware that we have more work to do to make this right for everybody. That's why we didn't want to. There's no point in getting everybody on it and then they're disappointed because, for example, the price point is too high for them. So it's like, for those who are interested, we're happy to share it and get feedback, and it's important feedback for us. But we will amp the volume up more once we feel we're in the right state and it's GA. Then we will make more noise about it. But right now, it's like, we're happy to have everybody try it out and play around with it, but it's not the final product that you will get.
Yep. And it wasn't an easy find. Once I think it was only in Hacker News where I saw the post around Elastic serverless, but yeah, I didn't see it anywhere else, right? And like you said, it makes sense. There's not a big push or fuzz around the community yet for it.
We'll get there, don't worry. We keep talking more about it. I really like to talk about the engineering parts, about this stateless nature of Elasticsearch and what that means in terms of implementation. On the other hand, I hope it's almost a boring part that you, rather than managing Elasticsearch, you can just consume the same thing, but you don't have to worry about the management anymore. So ideally, it is boring technology that will just work for you, and it will then promote, hopefully, itself through that.
We like boring. Yeah, am thrilled. We were using this, we were connecting to it inside of a Lambda function, and we didn't have to configure any VPCs or VPC endpoints or any of that.
Yes. Yeah. How do I query it quickly? A Lambda function connected to a VPC. Yeah, we didn't have to do any of that, which is nice.
Good that you got it running. That's what we want to hear. Thanks for the feedback. We keep working on that.
All right.
Yeah. Is there any sort of roadmap or anything that?
My answer will disappoint you again. We don't do public roadmaps again, because we figure out what priorities come up. You will see a lot of the roadmap indirectly, kind of like, because everything we do is on GitHub, and you see the GitHub issues, and then you can infer from that. But we don't really have a promised roadmap, neither in timeline nor in specific features, because again, sometimes we figure out, I don't know, the landscape is shifting, like everything is AI now. So the roadmap from 1.5 years ago is probably very different today than it was back then. That's again, we often feel like you don't win much from promising certain things, because it might either force you to break your promise or it forces you to do the wrong thing. And we don't really want to be boxed into either one of them. And sorry for the diplomatic answer.
Yeah, no, I'm not disappointed. No, I understand it.
We're just going to keep asking you different ways until you tell us what we want to hear.
Yeah.
I've been well trained, but you keep trying.
Well, we are actually out of time. So I do appreciate. Is it Philip or Philippe or something else?
Philip, I'm German speaking. I'm not French. My French is horrible. So on the other hand, I also gave that battle up, to be honest. It's just Philip or whatever you want to call me, and you will find me. By the way, do you know why I have my Twitter handle since we were starting this conversation on Twitter? This is the more fun part about my name. That is the trick question. It's a rod 13 of my last name. You know, rod 13 when you rotate the letters by 13. And this is where my Twitter handle comes from. This is my preferred question about names, rather than how to pronounce my first name, because that's a boring question.
Interesting.
That is. Well, thank you for coming on and talking to us at the end. I really liked this stream. It was easy to use. The quick start was super nice. We didn't have to use a VPC. Big win. And so I'm curious, I'm excited to see how the pricing changes when we go to GA, and if that's going to, change fundamentally at all, at least as far as the dimensions go, on an ongoing basis. So that's cool. Just introspective, and we'll speculate on what it is, but it worked great. It worked great. It just worked. Very happy with that.
And like Alan, like you said, we love boring, right? So as long as it's, hey, I just copy and pasted a few snippets and now I just need to modify them a bit for my use case, lovely.
Yeah,
great to hear.
Totally. All right, well, thank you everybody. Happy Friday, and we will talk to you next week. Have a good weekend.